But the good thing about this record, this particular actual physical copy, is that I was in Iceland. I did a gig in Iceland last year, and a friend of mine who is in a band, Fufanu, his name is Cactus, his actual legal name, and one of his relatives is I think his father is in Sigur,
Oh well.
um,
My
and then
favorite.
he knows Einar from the Sugar Cubes, and so I met Einar, and then he's an artist, and he was doing new artwork inside of Bjork's record store in Reykjavik. So I got to
Yeah.
perform at her record store, and
Oh,
then one night, the very last night I was in Iceland at like 1 in the morning, Cactus was like, "Hey, gonna drop something off at your hotel. Meet me in the lobby." So I did. Went downstairs. He had this book that was like Icelandic architecture, blah 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 blah, and he pulls this out. And in the plastic, I'm like, "Oh, I love this album. This is so cool." And then there's like a little piece of plastic that was like broken. I look and it's the signature, and I just immediately started crying. It
oh my
was like
God.
one of
Amazing.
the most amazing things. Just think she's so incredible and so instrumental in breaking open the idea of what you can do in the popular sphere, but also just music in general. But yeah, so that blew me away.
Hey, everybody. Got a pretty cool episode for you today. This is totally new format for me in the show, so I hope you'll enjoy it. It is a little bit of an experiment. I have a joint interview with the members of CAPYAC and the one and only Reggie Watts. So, a little bit of background in their press bio. CAPYAC are labeled a quote, surrealist dance band who fuse French house, Detroit electronic, jazz, funk, and several other modern genres. It's a pretty accurate description, I'd say. You're probably more likely to know Reggie Watts, who is a one-of-a-kind comedian, musician, one human band, improviser, actor, former house band leader for both James Corden on The Late Late Show and the supremely underrated comedy Bang Bang, one of my favorites. Together, Capiak and Reggie are releasing a new collaborative EP, Songs from Celestial City, on the day that this show goes up, which is February 28th. You should definitely check it out if you like funky, slightly off-kilter dance music. So again, admittedly, this is one of the strangest, most unorthodox interviews I've done for the show, considering I'm talking to four people at once. I decided to have a more ramshackle, improvisational spirit, perhaps in the spirit of my marquee guest. So we talk about lots of stuff about collecting, but also just random stuff about music. We talk about Bjork, Jamiroquai, collecting tapes, all kinds of interesting things. So without further ado, please allow them to introduce themselves.
What in the world is this album behind you?
Oh, which one? You might be referring to this crazy psychedelic one.
Yes,
This is the Flaming
certainly.
Lips album. This is
Ah.
this is I'm trying to think of yeah, that's the one I thought. Oh My God is the name of this one. GAWD.
Oh my God.
There's the back of it. This is I haven't even opened this one. I haven't listened to this in so long that it's basically
Uh,
gonna be like a brand new album when I listen to it. This is like I think their second album, second album. I
Wow.
Wow.
think they just love the cover, to be honest with you. I think it's
Yeah, the cover is crazy.
It's
freaking
proper.
trippy. Oh,
Yeah.
Is
Ben,
this other one a Finnish band?
I think they are a Finnish band, actually. Trying to remember where these guys are from. This is like
I
crazy
think
prog.
I think they just started.
Hey, what's
Presidenti.
up? Reggie, say
Hey,
yeah,
good
this is
morning.
I don't know if you can actually read that.
Tasavallan presidentti.
Yeah, but I also don't think
Holland.
that I don't think that they're finished. I think they're still doing stuff.
For real?
Oh,
Well, maybe they're complete. Maybe they're done now.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I know this is from 1974 and it's some really tasty 70s prog, which is
Oh, yeah,
way up
okay.
my way
I
up
guess
my alley. But
I guess that joke doesn't work then. I just heard you say that they were finished, and so they haven't. They're not done yet.
Totally
It's a
went over my
terrible,
head.
terrible joke. It's a
gotta
terrible
be honest.
joke, and I'll never do it again.
Man,
Never.
don't apologize.
Never.
I think it's best to lean into every bad pun, every
Hmm.
I'm here for it. Every dad joke,
Okay, good. Thank you. I feel
I'm all
safe
about it.
now.
This is a safe space. This is a safe space.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for doing this. I guess I'll just jump in.
Okay.
Reggie, do
And
you
if
have records that you can show? Are you in front of a collection?
I have three records with me right now,
You got three. Hey,
if that counts.
three is better than zero.
Thank you. I like that. Yeah, I have more I could get, but these are the three that I really think. But there are more records that are about 4.5 feet away from me.
Okay. Hey, let's just improvise this thing. This is gonna be like jazz. We'll just see what.
Okay.
All right, so I will start this thing off. This is the standard question that I ask. You guys might not have these physically with you. If you don't, that's totally fine. Question I think is still worth asking. So, what is the first album that you either bought with your own money or someone gave it to you as a gift? The first album that really felt like it was yours.
Hmm.
Prince Around the World in a Day.
Ooh. Wow, that's a big first one. That'll
That's
get you
amazing.
started off.
Way better than
Cassette tape.
mine. Yeah.
I don't know. I think mine's better. It was Millennium by the Backstreet Boys.
That is better.
No judgment here. I love some Backstreet.
Mine was a Poodle Hat by Weird Al.
Of course it was.
Wow.
Wait,
That makes
what was
a lot
on
of sense.
Poodle Hat? Was that the one with like yeah, what was the big song on that one?
Poodle Hat, I believe. I mean, I don't actually remember the track list. Oh, it was the one that had Genius in France. It was
Oh,
the one that had the Bob Dylan parody that wasn't of any particular Bob Dylan song, but was just like a Bob Dylan in
Right.
general
Yeah.
parody. And
just doing the voice.
every line was a palindrome. So, which was
Oh
actually
my God.
extremely impressive because every line was a palindrome, but then also every line rhymed with every other line. So it was like this
That's
incredible feat of songwriting
I don't even know how
that
that's possible.
created a complete nonsense, but it was really
No,
impressive,
that
which
was
is honestly Weird Al's whole thing. Really impressive nonsense. But I was a huge Weird Al fan as a like middle schooler, and yeah, that
Rite of
CD was
passage, I think.
inspirational to
Yeah.
me.
What was I hearing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good sign of
this
a
is
high intelligence as well.
is this first CD? Was that the question?
Like one that you felt, the first one that felt like you owned it, it was yours.
Yeah, either someone gave it to you, you bought it. It was the first like real album to kind of start your collection.
Yeah, you know what? It was a 99 cents J.J. Cale vinyl that I got from Goodwill.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
It's a
like
good
an early
find for Goodwill. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it was good. That was back in the day when you could still score shit there. I don't remember which
Yeah.
album, it was, but yeah, that was it.
okay. That's a good variety of answers, I think. From
Mm.
Backstreet to JJ. That's
Mhm.
a good spectrum of sounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for indulging
Wow.
me there.
Yeah.
That's
Want to
actually good
ask
to know.
about the collaborative EP that you guys have thing with you that you could point to and say, oh, this either inspired a melody or a song or a riff or something. Is there something that you can go this to this? Okay. What we have here. Echoes of Nature, Humpback Whales, the sounds of
Oh my God. National Geographic?
Uh,
I need more
No.
information.
more information. Delta Music Inc., Santa Monica, California. All rights reserved. Cover Matt Matsusek.
One single track on the CD.
Yeah. There's just one track, Songs of the Humpback. 1 hour and 1 minute and 9 seconds.
All right, what's the connection between the humpback whale sounds and EP?
Well, it was the only CD in my truck for like 3 years. And
Okay.
I don't know, some of that probably leaked into our consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
Have a tendency to do so.
we're currently visiting from Berlin, but we have our truck that lives in the United States, and so our record collection right now is just the CDs from that truck. Among them some really good ones though. We got Zombie by Fella, Kuti
Nice.
here. We have this homemade,
Oh yeah.
my dad printed this CAPYAC's Greatest Hits
Whoa,
CD
that's
Oh my God.
crazy.
from 2022.
So really, us and the humpback whale is what inspired.
That's,
Yeah,
that
Feedback
looks like
loop.
that was
Yeah.
straight up like 1999. That's reminds me of making
Yeah.
my own labels and the CD burner, the
Yeah,
whole.
the label is printed. It's like badly adhered to the CD, so there's some ripples in it. Like I don't even know if it would go
If it got
inside the
wet,
CD
if it
player.
got wet, it'd be pretty kooky.
Yeah.
It adds to
Um,
the charm, I think.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Some good stuff.
What about you, Reggie?
What?
If you think about this EP,
No, I'm good. I mean, I don't. No, not really.
that's an honest
Uh,
answer. That's all right. Let's look at what you have, Reggie. What are these three records that you have? Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Let me. Okay, let me. I'm gonna reach for them. I might try to switch this to my laptop, but in the meantime, I'm gonna show you this because this is some good stuff that I think you're probably gonna be interested in.
Okay, I'm interested in
Okay,
anything. Just
it's
whatever.
all obscure bands you haven't heard about, if that's okay.
No, I like that even better.
Okay, so Devo.
Oh yes, of course.
At Devo, they're like a post-punk band from like Akron, Ohio. Pretty cool guys uh, from the '80s. But yeah, this is the. I
Wow.
think you're gonna. I don't know how you get this. Oh, I guess you do this. Yeah, and I believe it should have like some interesting information on it because they're part of the new traditionalists. But yeah, so this is yeah, it's really cool. They I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, there's like these really there's an order form. That'd be really great if it still worked. But
Give it a
because
shot.
one of the things I remember the most about them is this. It's like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, they have a catalog inside. And they have look, you can buy one of their energy domes and things of that nature. But most of all, their music just fucking, I mean, I just think they're probably, in my opinion, top five greatest rock and roll bands of all time.
I'm just now going through my Devo phase, which I know is very late in life to be experiencing,
Great.
but it's better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, Devo rules, man. But that's one. And then I've got this Soundgarden,
Oh
Oh, yeah,
yes.
nice.
Screaming Life, which is
That's a
great.
great cover.
I love these. That was like I forget the name of the photographer, but this was kind of like the photographer that set the entire grunge tone for Seattle
Yeah.
single-handedly. And but yeah, Screaming Life, amazing record. Uh, let's see, what was this? Just because nothing to say. Yeah, nothing to say. Man, I mean this band like it redefined my idea of what rock and roll was because I was used to Led Zeppelin at the time in like 1990. I was like Led Zepp. I didn't really like Led Zeppelin, and like kind of a dad rock, I guess, or whatever you call it, classic rock. I mean, I got it, but it felt like dark, and I didn't feel connected to it. Although I really loved dark new wave shit like Bauhaus and Front 242 and Ministry and stuff like that. But then when Soundgarden came out, it was the first time that I liked a rock band because they had like this deep, dark, soulful, uh, kind of dangerous feeling to them. And yeah, so Soundgarden with their original bassist, man, geez, that really blew me away. But Screaming Life is a great album. Early Ultra Mega OK is their first album, but this album's really nice little piece in your collection.
That's wild. I don't think I've ever actually heard that one. I think I've heard everything else, but I've never heard that one.
Yeah, most people start at Bad Motorfinger,
Yeah, I
but
think that's probably where I started.
yeah, Ultra Mega OK, and then Screaming Life. Those are really great. Then their bass player Hero left, and then they got Ben Shepherd, and then it became the Soundgarden that most people know at Bad Motorfinger, which was an insane album as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh,
Yes.
favorite of mine.
yeah, Bjork.
Same.
Bjork.
Yeah, Bjork. Check this out though.
No way.
Oh, snap.
It's
Yeah,
not
Incredible.
counterfeit. That's legit. We got a
yeah.
you had a
So good.
Bjork meeting.
I had a Bjork because you got to Bjork to Bjork. But
Ooh,
the interesting thing about this particular album, I love this album. Obviously, this is D-But, and I
My favorite debut.
it's your favorite D-But.
Yeah.
Um, the
Debut by
greatest,
Bjork. Love
yeah, by Bjork.
it.
Um, but the good thing about this record, this particular actual physical copy, is that I was in Iceland. I did a gig in Iceland last year, and a friend of mine who is in a band, I can't remember the name right now, but it's a kind of, oh, Fufanu. His name is Cactus, his actual legal name, and one of his relatives is I think his father is in Sigaros,
Oh well.
um,
My
and then
favorite band.
he knows Einar from the Sugar Cubes, the guy who
Hmm.
talks a lot. Oh my God, dude. You know that guy. And so I met Einar, and then he's an artist, and he was doing new artwork inside of Bjork's record store in Reykjavik. And then he really cool guy, really great, nice, had coffee time on his breaks and stuff like that, look through records. I got to
Yeah.
perform at her record store. And
Oh,
then one night, the very last night I was in Iceland at like 1 in the morning, Cactus was like, "Hey, gonna drop something off at your hotel. Meet me in the lobby." So I did. Went downstairs. He had this book that was like Icelandic architecture, blah 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 blah. And he pulls this out and in the plastic, and there's like just he gives it to me. I'm like, "Oh, I love this album. This is so cool." And then there's like a little piece of plastic that was like broken, where I was like, "What's that?" And I look, and it's the signature, and I just immediately started crying. It
oh my
was like
God.
one of
Amazing.
the most amazing things, like because I just think she's so incredible and so instrumental in breaking open the idea of what you can do, in the popular sphere, but also just music in general. But yeah, so that blew me away. I was like, "What?" So yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
that's it. Yeah,
Thank you for
of
sharing that.
course.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, I think I'd be terrified to if I were in Bjork's presence, I don't think I could be. I'd be like, get me out of here. This is
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
get me out.
not worthy of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I gotta go.
That's amazing. So yeah, I want to ask you guys about record stores. Obviously hosting this thing. I love going to record stores. I like browsing. My favorite thing to do is just go with no preconceived idea of what I'm looking for and just rifle around and just see what happens to speak to me based on the cover. So I found stuff like that. So yeah, do you guys have any favorite record stores, any favorite moments of being in a store and just finding something weird or cool? And if you could just yeah, tell me your thoughts on all that.
I used to go to I grew up in Dallas, and Dallas is like riddled with half-price books.
Hmm.
And that's where I got most of my like CDs and records.
Yeah.
And I remember an experience where I like picked something up based on the cover was the Octopus Project's Hexadecagon. Do you know this album?
No, I don't. But now I
It
want to.
Yeah, I just picked it up. I was like, this is probably important. And I immediately put it on in the car with my mom. And like 2 songs in, she's like, please, can we turn it off? And I remember feeling just the most energetic opposite. I was like, I need to hear it all. And yeah, that album was an important find for me. Yeah.
I had that moment with do you guys know the band the Mars Volta by chance?
Yes.
One of my all-time favorite bands, and I was obsessed with them. I still am. I absolutely one of my favorite bands. I was just on their Reddit like 30 minutes ago, and I remember very vividly having their first album, playing it in the car, and my parents like humoring me for a couple hours, and they're like very politely like, "Can we? Do you care if we turn this off and maybe play
Yeah.
something a little less, whatever this is?" Same thing with Sigur Rós, actually, one of my favorite bands, and I remember they were like, "Yeah, this is please, not this, something else." Yeah, that's thank you for sharing. Anybody else got any cool record store or favorite stores or just cool finds that they can think of?
Trying to think. There was that one record store we went to in Paris that was really cool. That was just a cool place to be. There was also the art gallery.
Oh yeah.
Um,
What is that called?
and I think it was the Yoyaku record store.
Mhm.
And they mostly specialize in like electronic music, mostly like deep house and minimal, which is a cool scene because a lot of that scene is still happening on vinyl in a really big way. And as compared with the rest of the music industry, which is for the most part kind of not really worried about records. But in that scene, a lot of music is released only on vinyl to escape copyright stuff. Because a lot of the music
Okay.
will take like old samples and then reformat it into house music. And so they just press it to vinyl with unknown artist or unknown track. It'll just be like anonymous music that comes out on no record label or a record label that exists for like 2 weeks. And this record store in Paris, Yoyaku, distributes a lot of that music. And they're also a distributor across Europe for it. And their record store is really, really beautiful, like one of the most beautiful spaces I've been in. And it's attached to this art gallery that when we were there, they were doing an exhibition on of this like ceramicists, like really surreal sculptures, and they were like hanging around this whole store, and we bought a cup from them, and then did we buy records? I bought a couple records
You
there.
did buy a couple
Yeah, I bought a
records.
couple records that were just I can't show them because I'm not at home, but they were really great store.
Good
That's
store.
Nice.
that's all I gotta say. Go to Yoyaku in Paris.
Really silly cup. Very kind of useless cup.
Yeah.
It's like the bottom's not flat, so yeah, kind of wobbles around.
Useless cup. I'm gonna use that for a song title or something.
Yeah, it's a good,
Yes.
it's a good
Yes.
one.
What's
Yes.
everybody's, do you have any good favorite like rare things in your collection or just third things that no one else might have?
Absolutely.
I mean these two for sure.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
that's
like
a good point.
some of the best like rare music is just like local bands, and
True.
like nobody's heard these. But
Yeah,
all
what
of
do you
us
got
are
there?
We got Batty Jr.
Batty
and
Junior.
Big Bill, Stand By Your Bill.
That is
yeah,
a sweet
including
cover.
the hit "What Do
Yeah.
You Want on Your Salad?"
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's
The track list is also great.
Yeah,
So good.
one of
Wow.
the best. They're an incredible punk band from Austin. Actually, a fun fact about these two bands is that they share a drummer.
Nice.
yeah.
fun fact. Yeah.
Our friend Jeff Olson drums in both bands.
I have one note about so Big Bill. I saw them in Denton in 2013, and they played this house party, super shitty house party, and there was like 5 people in the audience, right? But they played this song called "Who Put Dave in the Microwave," and it's like a 30-second long punk song, and
Yeah.
they played it 4 times over the course of the whole show,
Yes.
and it was like classic Denton punk. It was amazing, and yeah, ever since then,
They're so good.
huge fan.
Big Bill, incredible punk band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Clint Eastwood is my
Denton,
dad.
Denton.
Denton's
Denton's the
coming up a
best.
lot
Yeah, wait,
lately.
Reggie, what's your
Yeah,
connection?
to Denton. I did a couple festivals there, but like I forget the name. One was like Wet and Wild or something like that. It was like a water park themed, like daytime festival. Big Frida played at, and a bunch of other bands. But the first time I played there was a festival called 35 Conferet, and that's when I that's when I ran into this band called Record Hop. That apparently is like some legendary Denton punk band, kind of punk hardcore band. And I learned about them and saw them in an alley the first time I saw them with like maybe 15 people with beers and koozies watching them with a long extension cord running from somewhere. And And then the
Yeah.
second time, yeah, that seems right. And then the second time was in a house party where I just leaned up against one of the windows of the living room, so my head was about like that with the windowsill here, and I was right behind the bass player and the drummer, and they were in a living room playing. They were amazing. And I just and then I danced, got into a mosh pit with a band called Deep Throat. Um, and
Deep
Oh,
throated.
I feel like they were probably on the same lineup as the other Denton band, Bukake Moms.
Yeah.
oh my God, it
Fucking
has to be,
legendary. Yeah.
has to be. Yeah, their guitar player was dressed as like an elf, like just straight up like tunic, tights, belt, dagger. Um, but yeah, but
Wow.
Denton is like fucking for real. And yeah, I don't know. I got a really good vibe from Denton. That was the place. And check this out.
Oh,
I was talking to you guys about this. Fire Sign Theater.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
waiting for the electrician or someone like
Whoa,
that.
this is
This is an
crazy.
insane
Whoa,
cover.
yeah.
What is this cover?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just very like Fire Sign Theater was like there was a that kind of a classic radio show called Fireside Theater, and these guys were kind of like punk spirit, like late 60s, kind of anti-corporate, um,
Oh,
just naysayers that did like this really cool, like quasi-political, super creative soundscape uh, productions, stories, and being very cynical about government and stuff like that. But anyways, this is a cool record. I'm glad I don't know where I found it, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, I gotta have it because love these guys.
So cool. I'm glad you told me what that was because I've heard of that band like a million times.
Yeah.
Never knew what it was, but maybe I'm thinking of the other thing and I've
Uh,
conflated the two.
Yeah, because they're
Hmm.
essentially it's radio plays. It's like a radio hour. So these are like more like think of them as like sketches or like
Yeah,
sound
okay.
pieces. Yeah.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, they were before Negative Land, which is a
Yeah.
band I really, really love. But like they were kind of the inspiration for Negative Land.
Could you just talk a little bit about how often you collect and what you collect? And you don't have to get into the weeds with everything, but generally, how often do you buy stuff? Where do you go to get it? What's your ratio of like digital to physical media? And no judgment, of course, we all listen to digital media too, but yeah, could you just kind of give me an overview of how you guys experience music?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I used to have a much bigger record collection, and then we moved to Europe. Obi and I did, and then a lot of it's still in my parents' closet, and
Mm,
I move it over to Berlin like 10 to 20 records at a time every time I visit them because
okay.
my
Yeah.
get this stuff out of my closet, and I'm like, I'm working on it. It's like
Yeah.
hundreds of records. So,
Yeah. That'll
um,
take you a while.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is DJ stuff. Because when I learned to DJ, I was learning on vinyl, and so I was buying lots, basically anything under like a couple bucks that was
Mhm.
even kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like house music, from like mostly the early 2000s or earlier, because that's what was cheap at the time.
Hmm.
And so that's like a big portion of it. And then
The other half is like the rock and roll records I inherited from my mom and my dad. So I have like, yeah, like a lot of Led Zeppelin, a lot of Velvet Underground, and
Yeah.
uh, Stevie Wonder,
a lot of country too.
Supertramp, a lot of country. Yeah, like
Mm.
uh,
Ooh, I love
uh,
Supertramp, by the way. Nice
yeah,
Supertramp shout out.
Supertramp, Jamiroquai. Like my
Oh,
mom was really into that realm, and it was very fun to discover, not through her playing the records because she didn't play them to me growing up, but then I like found the record collection and started listening. I'm like, where's this been,
yeah.
Tara? What are you
I
doing?
love the first Jamiroquai reference on this show so far. Reggie, I saw you nodding. Are you a Jamiroquai fan?
No, well, kind of.
Hmm.
I just think they're funny, but
They're
just
definitely funny.
the evolution of the band. Uh, Evolution of the band is interesting. No, I mean when I first came into I think the record was Emergency on Planet Earth, and it was mid '90s, and I was in music school for jazz at Cornish in Seattle, and I remember going into like I lived in a collective house. It was like 8 roommates living in this house, and we had a room that had a record player, all that stuff set up. And yeah, and I just remember like listening to Emergency on Planet Earth, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. It sounds like 70s, music. And I really, for me, Jamiroquai was the bass player. I love that bass player. It was like one of the
Amazing.
baddest bass players. And so I was into that. And then, and then they got up to Traveling Without Moving. And that was the last record with that bass player. And then I kind of became disinterested after that because I think it was Canned Heat was the next record.
Yeah.
But I was really into them definitely through Traveling Without Moving and a little bit into Canned Heat. And then I just kind of lost interest. But what I didn't appreciate was that they oftentimes never ended a song the way it started. And and that was the problem I had with Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's like just come back to the shit that's really good about the song. You don't have to like make it an exploration of some alternate universe. Like so that was my biggest complaint.
I was just thinking about Chicago. It's weird you mentioned them because they came on the radio, I don't know, a couple days ago. I was just driving somewhere and was like, it's like, I guess Peter Cetera, I think is his name, the dude who has the more kind of commercial voice.
Yeah,
He was like,
second singer.
yeah, and then, but the rest of the song was this crazy fucking like jazz fusion song or something. And then all of a sudden he sings and it's like this like horn rock kind of ballad. Chicago is a weird fucking band. Like, if you go back and,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
corn rock.
That's what
horn
I'm
rock.
talking
That is
yeah,
Chicago.
horn rock,
I
about. I
just
saw them live actually a few
really.
years ago. Maybe like 9 years ago with Marshall Lowry,
Oh wow.
Shout
who
out.
used to play saxophone in our band and still does occasionally.
Horn rock.
Horn
And
rock.
he's a big horn
Horn
rocker
rock.
for sure. But
Hashtag
yeah,
horn
I
rock.
went with him because he had an extra ticket, and the entire audience is middle-aged women, and we're like 22
Oh
or
yeah,
20, like just out of college,
you had
and
to be the
into
youngest.
the jazz fusion aspects of Chicago and not into the pop rock aspects of Chicago.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But then this couple's leaving, and they were like, "Hey, we bought front row seats, but we're leaving because we're tired." And and they gave us their front
Old.
row seats. So we're front row,
Oh my God.
surrounded by ladies who
Well,
are like,
I need that footage. That footage exists somewhere.
Yeah.
yeah, just front row for Chicago. They were great. I mean, their horn section's super tight. It
yeah.
was
What did
awesome
they
to
play?
watch.
Was it like greatest hits guys? Were they playing the like the out
No,
there stuff?
loud. Sorry. Yeah, it was just greatest hits. There was
Yeah.
nothing in it for me, really, honestly, except for the sheer technical proficiency of the horn section.
Yeah.
That was it. And the spectacle of it all. I love seeing
Yeah.
a big high budget
yeah.
show, kind of no matter what it is. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Same
really
here.
matter. Like if it's high budget, then it's just going to be an interesting
Event.
time.
What's the one
Yeah.
you guys saw with that cello player? With the Stadium Rock cello player, Panic at the Disco?
Oh, we
Oh,
did
yeah.
Panic at the Disco
Yeah.
last year because our friend was playing the guitar for them,
Yeah,
and
playing like fourth guitar
there
for
was
Panic at the Disco.
so many pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
Really?
Most of the
Yes.
budget was
Cello?
pyro.
They had a
Most of the
cello
budget.
player? Is that what you
Yep.
Isn't that the
I
whole
think
thing?
I know that cello player.
That's not what I was expecting. Then again, I haven't listened to Panic at the Disco in a long time, but
They had a horn. They had string. They definitely had
Yeah, they
strings.
did. They were sort of like the part of that whole chamber rock
Chamber
Yeah.
rock.
90s revival.
Yeah.
I say that, and then they had that one album that was like a super Beatlesy. I
Yeah,
love that
the
album,
one they
actually.
recorded at Abbey Road. Yeah.
Pretty Odd, I think it's called.
Pretty odd.
That's a
I-
great album. That's a
It's an incredible album, actually.
like
Yes.
totally
Agreed.
unlike anything else in their catalog. I loved that thing. And then I was like,
Yeah.
man, I hope they keep kind of going down that road. And I think they kind of
Nope.
They
fell
didn't do
apart.
that.
They said that was it.
No, it's just a one-off, but it's a cool
It's superb.
little album.
I say one thing about my collection, which is almost entirely from like 2005 to 2010, was like Kazaa and Pirate Bay. It was all torrented stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't collect anything. I had one CD called Del Castillo, this band that no one cares about.
Wait, what about that Greek traditional
I care about it
music?
now.
No, but I will, yeah, shout out to like obscure medieval Greek music because my friend Jeff Olson who also was the drummer for the band.
Yeah.
My friend gifted me this like kind of chanty Greek music, and it was in my CD player, and then my CD player broke, but in such a way where it would play the CD, but I couldn't
Remove it.
remove it. And then at some point my radio broke. So all I had was this Greek music.
That was really good.
No, and then I went on this
Wow.
long trip for like a week and a half, and there was no service, so there was no radio. So all I had to listen to was this like yeah. Anyways, I should find it. I don't know what it is.
Greek folk
Fucking
music.
crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah, I remember getting like CDs stuck in your CD player would be, you had to like find the magic technique to get it out, and you'd like,
The combination of buttons.
and you had to like grab it real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be ready with pliers.
Yeah, and then you fucking ruin it.
Yeah, it would only come out like
Just a little
like
bit.
half a centimeter. What was
Yeah,
that?
Yeah,
I forgot about the little like.
yeah. It teased you
How
with
did
it for
learn
just a
how to do
second.
that?
Yeah.
It has a little like lizard tongue for just a.
I think I had a 12 disc changer in my trunk.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
In my
I had the same thing in my truck. It
That's
was in the back
amazing.
seat of my truck.
Yeah,
It was
right. Oh,
changer.
12 disc though, Reggie. I think my brother growing up had like maybe it's a 5 disc. What were you rocking in the 12 disc changer? I gotta know. Take me back then.
well, yeah, I mean, I was driving a Subaru DL, like an 84 Subaru DL, and put money into a stereo system. But like, yeah, I don't know, it would have been like Brandy, um,
Nice.
Brandy, that album. Oh, what's the name of Groove Theory? Um, Probably Michael McDonald, if that's what it takes. Um, which I used to listen to after my shows. I'd drive down in Seattle, like to the beach at why am I'm forgetting that name? The I-90 goes over it. Anyways, Lake Union, and I would just like chill there and listen to Michael McDonald and cry, because he was so
Yes.
emotional about
What you
like,
do.
just yeah, because it's like the romantic notion of being lonely is like kind of indulgent, and so that's why I would do that after shows. Um, and yeah, Jamiroquai, it really rotated. Oh, also the Underworld soundtrack from The Saint, uh, where it had or I mean, sorry, the Saint soundtrack, but there was an Underworld track on there, which I forget the name of it, but it's like a super high energy track that that whatever that one is, with like this kind of hanging propeller sound, like as though it were in like a small metal chamber, like a type of thing. I love that. I would rock. What's that?
Sounds like Underworld. Or yeah, or it sounds like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Whatever that is. But yeah, like just like that, and maybe
Shazam
some
it
like
as you keep going.
sounds. Yeah, Shazam it with me just singing it. You'll get it immediately.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm no sound hound. But yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Like some, yeah, neo soul, trip hop, Portishead probably, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Hell yeah. Speaking of Michael McDonald, I saw him live like not like pre-pandemic, but like maybe 2019 or something. Fucking amazing. So
Oh
good.
yeah.
I don't
Right.
understand how he still has maintained that voice, but if anyone wants to do a Michael McDonald impression on the spot right now, I would encourage it. But there's no
Yeah.
Every time I breathe,
Nice.
no.
It's the
Say
little
your
melody.
hello. Yeah.
We've
You just
touched
gotta
on like
pretend you got
all.
something, and you gotta put your tongue a little bit back in your throat.
Yeah.
Just to mute it. He sounds like he's about 2 feet further away than where he's
Yeah,
singing from.
exactly.
Back there.
I think we've touched on almost all of my parents' favorite artists between Chicago, Michael McDonald. If we just added some Earth, Wind, and Fire in here, we would have them all.
Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually did have a Earth, Wind, and Fire Greatest Hits CD in the truck, but we didn't bring it
Yes.
up.
Good
But yeah,
shit.
that's in the truck.
That's in the truck rotation.
In the truck.
Yeah. That would have been in my CD changer for sure.
Yeah,
Mm.
the greatest hits. It's like a red cover, I think, with the
Yeah, yeah,
With the scarab and all
yeah.
the
Oh,
that's
Egyptian
the one.
that's good shit. That is good shit.
good ship lollipop.
Oh, nicely done. I mean, obviously you got a few records there, but what's your actual physical collection like? Do you have more stuff you're not showing me? Like, where's your stuff at?
I mean, I have some stuff. I just have like, maybe 3 crates worth of
Yeah,
records, but I have a bunch some cassettes, probably like 30, 40 cassettes. And
yeah,
and then yeah, some CDs, but I actually honestly kind of gave up a lot of my CDs. I don't really have that many CDs. Yeah, everything's like, online now. So
yeah.
that's most of my collection is in combination of Apple Music, Tidal, and Qobuz, and definitely Spotify. But I'm trying to get rid of Spotify out of my life because it's bad. But
Yeah.
but yeah, those are like the places that I probably have the most music. Probably Apple Music's probably the most because I've had it the longest.
Yeah. So you have some cassettes, like what's the deal with cassettes for you? I know some people who collect cassettes and it's like a purely aesthetic thing. They just like the way they look. Oh man, I love it.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
actually
So
do that one, but that was part of my life for a
mhm.
while, a version of the Walkman, of course.
Yeah. Of course. And, yeah, it's great. I yeah, I mean, I don't listen to him that often. I just had like this thing during pandemic where I was like, I want to get back into cassettes. So I found like, some good cassette players, and they don't really make very many. They don't make new portable cassette players, really. There's a couple companies that have made some, but they're not particularly interesting. I think it would be great if someone made a hi-fi cassette player that like
Yeah.
used some kind of upresing technology that could kind of like
Yeah.
get rid of noise and artifacting. Um, but we'll see. But yeah. So I don't really have a ton of physical media. I definitely have more records than I have probably anything else. But and cassettes are like I just grab them once in a while. If I see something cool, I'll grab it, and it's more like I just have it. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
listen to it.
Just a thing. Yeah. I always like, because I came into cassettes, I was like really little when they were still around, but kind of phasing out, I guess. But I always just thought they just sounded so bad. Like, and I know people who are like, they swear, but like, oh, I love cassettes. And like, I feel like those things warped so quickly and you just leave it out in the sun. And by the time you knew it, it's like, yeah, like you mentioned, there's so many like artifacts in the recordings. And I don't know, just,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, the
now
stuff.
I'm fascinated. That's a good idea. Like, someone should actually create like a hi-fi cassette like play.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, with the technology that we have these days, and same thing with a CD player. I think you can still find portable CD players. And then I've also been into, like someday I'm going to get back into it, but mini disc, just because I love mini disc
I
so
never
much.
experienced that format. So what's the deal with mini discs? I would love to know someone who actually enjoyed the format.
Yeah, I mean, mini disc.
Hmm.
I really got into it. I got the very first mini disc consumer mini disc player called the MZR1 from Sony. Um, I then consequently bought probably 3 other mini disc players because they kept getting smaller and smaller, like to almost just a little bit bigger than the size of the mini disc itself.
Yeah.
Um, with an inline remote, so there weren't any controls on the actual mini disc player. Um, yeah, I just liked it because you could record on it, you could re-record over it, millions of times. There wasn't any degradation loss. I think they had like 90 minutes, up to 90 minutes, maybe 120 minutes at one point. Um, and yeah, and it was such a great size. You could just shove a shit ton of them in your pockets, and you just had
Yeah.
all this music, and it was, before MP3s and stuff like that. So, um, uh, or at least just like hard drive based media players. And yeah, and I just loved it. And then they even like had physical media like cassette tape style, like from record labels, like
Yeah.
professional. And I had some of those. I bought Michael Jackson's Bad on it, and
Nice.
a couple other things. I don't know where they went, but I really wish I still had them. But yeah, yeah, I just liked it. It just felt like the future. It felt more futuristic than what we have now.
Yeah.
Um, I think like there's something about having the media, like here, I possess it. It's right here. It's on this like little, essentially a hard drive in a
Yeah.
storage medium.
Yeah, I think that's just
But
why
yeah,
I love physical media in general, just like having the thing when I actually physically touch the thing while I'm listening to it, it does something else to my brain and makes me engage with it in a way where if I'm listening to something digital, it just sort of I get distracted. I don't know. It seems cheesy and like I'm just saying that, but it really does. Like I kind of get lost in whatever the ether. I just like having something
yeah,
to make me focus on it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, and the records are great because obviously you got all that surface area for the artwork, so you
Totally.
get the visual with it and the sensation of pulling it out and putting it on the record player, and when it's over, flipping it over to the other side. There's just
Totally.
more of a consciousness, like what I'm listening to a record right now, as
Yeah.
opposed to I'll just play a song and my music whatever program will probably just infinitely play some algorithmic thing, which
Yeah,
is really nice in many regards. But
for sure.
I'm trying to get back. I have my record player, but I have to get it. I have to understand how to get it to work through my system again because it's kind of convoluted and I forget to use it. But I
Yeah.
definitely want to get back into it for sure.